Today I invite you, nay I implore you, to sip your tepid tea, steady your fraying nerves, and plunge headfirst into that eternal thorny question. Is Tifa Lockhart the real love of Cloud Strive's life? Now, if your view of romance leans a certain way, the answer feels as clear as Sephiroth's pathological need for center stage. Obviously, Tifa. Childhood friends, a starry night, a romantic moment under the high wind that, depending on your maturity level, either screams emotional catharsis or they definitely did it. Add to this the fan discourse, which ranges from thoughtful literary analysis to internet screeching so high-pitched it could set off angry dogs. Or in the case of X, it's a few angry dogs setting off high-pitched screeching. If you know, you know. But like everything in Final Fantasy VII, the truth is buried beneath 17 layers of trauma, deception, mental breakdowns, and the occasional strangely dressed man whispering cryptic threats. And that's just the Reddit threads. Okay, I'll stop now. Firstly, I don't have a problem with anyone that likes Tifa. There are thousands of you lovely people out there, and I know a few of you watch my terrible videos and comment very reasonably. I think she's a great character, and the romance she has with Cloud is sweet and nuanced. What I want to manage in this vid is to move away from the Tifa stans and the straight up mental members of the fanbase who tend to hijack the discourse. No one in this game is represented as perfect apart from Rufus.
I am not gay.
And that's what makes these relationships so wonderful. Cloud and Tifa's best written moments, in my opinion, are not the telegraphed Hollywood fan fiction, but the gentler, softer moments that we'll see later. The moments between real Cloud and a well-written Tifa. But before that, let's break down some of the more popular misconceptions. Let's begin with numero uno. Tifa and Cloud grew up together and were always close. Ah yes, you'll hear this take repeated ad infinitum like folks are willing it into existence through strength of will alone. Like believing Shinra would implement a fair tax regime, or responsible community outreach programs, or that Hojo was a licensed gynecologist.
My dear.
A lot of folks with a very, shall we say, specific viewpoint will have you think they were bosom buddies, manifestly destined from birth. In reality, Tifa was the popular one with friends, beauty, hobbies, and was the only girl we're aware of. Cloud was a lurker, sulking about the place as one of many in the male competitive set. He decided to use that tried and tested courting method of staring at her from behind water barrels and watching her through her window. Probably why so many FF7 players identify with him thinking about it. I mean, I know this is Final Fantasy land, but try that in today's dating scene and see where it gets you. Or at least that's what the judge told me in between him handing out parole to Yuffie fans.
You're a mega pedo.
You thought I was saying I was a mega pedo?
Their entire early bond rests on one interesting interaction at a water tower, where Cloud essentially says, "I'm off to become a corporate killing machine, wish me luck." And Tifa responds, "Cool, yeah, rescue me if things go pear-shaped." Very romantic. There is also a bit in the books where Najima trots out the weakest of writing devices. The whole, "I guess I liked him all along" sentiment. Really, Tifa? If you really liked him, you could have been a tad nicer to him after the bridge incident. Yes, your father said to stay away from him, but he lived next door. Could you not have thrown a paper aeroplane or two? Or maybe use the same can and string setup the voice cast of Advent Children used to phone it in?
Not a chance.
Don't cry, Yasu.
Years pass, people die, villages burn, Tifa gets all entrepreneurial after having her chest talked about by the entire scientific community. Cloud shows up taking on the role of official fun sponge, and they set off to save the world together. This is despite the fact they can't hold a functional conversation that doesn't involve accusations of lying, body snatching, or slightly oddly timed kiss attempts. or as I like to call it, dating in your 30s. Which brings us grimly to misconception number 2. Cloud and Tifa are a healthy, communicative couple. Oh darling, no. Tifa spends the majority of the early game doing her best impression of a Victorian governess. Worried, gentle, and completely incapable of saying what she means. She knows things. Important things. Hey, you're not who you think you are levels of things. But instead of telling Cloud, she sort of winces in his general direction and lets the mental collapse play out in real time. To be fair, Cloud is in no position to be anybody's emotional rock. He's about 3 personality disorders away from believing he's a chocobo, or chocobo, if you're one of those lovely colonial types. But giant chickens aside, the two of them together are less perfect match and more emotionally charged will they, won't they. Again, that's not a bad thing, it's just a thing. Now that's not to say there's no intimacy, there's plenty. There are moments under the high wind, at the water tower, jokes in the gold saucer date, which all really hammer home that there is this beautiful romance between these two. My favourite bit? The gold saucer, but not the element you think I mean. Which brings me rather inevitably to, you're just bitter about the kiss. Oh, that phrase irritates the heck out of me. Because here's something that might come as a surprise. I always wanted Tifa to get her kiss with Cloud. I know, shocking. Ever since the remake was announced, I had visions of this grand, beautifully constructed moment. A sweeping declaration by the high wind. 2 war-weary souls finally laying bare their hearts after enough emotional turbulence to literally ground an airship. A kiss. Passionate, desperate, possibly rain-soaked. I also wanted Sheriff Shainsborough, I didn't say her name, to have her romantic path as well, and I do believe that's the way we're going as we follow the natural conclusion of the choice system built by the devs. All bets are off now, but for Tifa, this was the moment. And now I'm just going to say it, I think their first kiss was sacrificed early at the altar of the stands. For me, oddly enough, the best part of the Tifa date isn't the kiss. It's the delicious awkwardness before. Cloud nervously sneaking glances at Tifa when he thinks she's not looking. Textbook teenage boy behaviour, bless him. That for me is the real Cloud, not the smooth, fluid mercenary that listened to a few too many of Zack's conquests. But the teenager with the emotional range of a potato and absolutely no idea what to do with it. The scene echoes the tone of the OG perfectly. Clumsy, tongue-tied romance with all the elegance of a giraffe on roller skates. And let's give Tifa her due. She's confident, flirty, a genuinely charming companion. And it's a great moment, and that's precisely where it should have stopped. For now, at least. Because once we move beyond that, the tone goes rogue. Suddenly Cloud transforms from bashful wallflower to suave, roguish heartthrob, and not in a believable character arc kind of way. No, more in a, wait, is that Zack in Cloud's body kind of way? You can argue he's developed since Crisis Core, but let's not forget, he's only had from the start of Remake to now to undergo that transformation. And that's where my issue lies. Much of the romance between Cloud and Tifa has been laid on with all the subtlety of a rose petal sledgehammer, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. There's definitely space for an angsty romance with little in the way of subtlety, but at times it feels rushed. And I hate to say it, I really do, but sometimes it borders on fanfic. They balance the girls out as they promised, but why be in such a rush with Tifa when they've taken their time with multiple, smaller interactions featuring Splerith Snainsborough? If the intention was to build a gradual, episode-spanning romance, couldn't they have, I don't know, taken their time? Let it simmer. Tease. Allow space for angst to breathe and feelings to grow, with a kiss as the summit. Part 3 practically begs for it. All that live stream soul searching and identity confusion, prime romance territory. So why bring it forward and dilute these amazing moments? And this is what confuses me. Of the two girls, narratively, I would expect all the rush to be on Aerith. After all, isn't there a hard stop on Aerith's development with Cloud? Isn't there longer to develop Tifa and Cloud if we assume things follow the OG? Longer to gradually build for the bigger payoff as per back in the PlayStation days? Unless, of course, this isn't going to follow the OG. Anyway, instead, we get a kiss now, then immediately Cloud's off gallivanting with her, like a man who's just popped out for milk after proposing. The tonal whiplash is real. I don't care what anyone says. Watching streamers try to navigate these scenes was painful.
Okay.
They would often try to change the subject so quickly they briefly offended the laws of physics.
Modeling pose.
Yes, there's technically a low affinity path, but the game keeps insisting on behaving like it's still on high affinity. You break Cloud and Gareth's dynamic in two, and yet, surprise, you're still contractually obligated to hold her hand, even if you spent the last 10 hours treating her like a colleague you openly resent. It's all a bit weird, isn't it? Their romance is tragic, yes, but tragedy is not diminished by brevity. Romeo and Juliet only knew each other for 3 days, and they still haunt the nightmares of high school students the world over. Aerith and Cloud, just like Tifa and Cloud, have a beautiful relationship, and as I always say, equally valid, just different and designed to suit differing people and tastes. So who is right for Cloud? Well, that depends. Do you value a shared past or the promise of becoming someone new? Do you like your love stories drenched in melancholy or laced with the knowledge that things will always be there, but maybe never perfect? It's no wonder opinions differ wildly. Tifa wins in the US, Aerith in Japan, and in Western Europe we're pretty much 50-50, at least according to the gaming stats we'll review in the next video. But in the end, the question isn't who does Cloud love, it's who allows Cloud to be loved. Tifa is the one who stays, the one who endures, the one who perhaps accepts that love is messy and painful and never quite what you expected. Aerith is the one who awakens something, the one who sees the potential for joy, for growth, for healing, and not just for surviving. Neither is a perfect fit because Cloud is not a perfect person. He's broken, complicated, frequently unconscious, but he is, at his core, someone worth loving. Not because he's strong or brave or tragic, but because deep down he's that wounded child with the kindest of hearts. And if that's too much for you, too much difficulty and anguish for you, that's absolutely fine. Bright, soft fabrics need love too. So is Tifa the love of his life? Maybe. Or maybe she's just the one who stayed behind to help him sweep up the mess. And Aerith? Maybe she was the one who handed him the broom.